We do have big plans for Philippines as well. We do have a balanced slate. What we have learned at Netflix is authenticity is key. Just trusting the instinct and being proudly Filipino will be the way for it to actually reach massive audiences. Oh, we will be announcing a lineup next year. Watch out for that. And we do have big plans for Philippines as well. We are slightly in our earlier stages than the other markets. And that's not because we don't believe in the Philippines, talent. The reason for this majority of, content consumption is still very Hollywood because, English language is very easily accessible in the Philippines. So we have been trying to really figure out that what differentiation can we bring into the local content space, which is not seen on TV or in the theaters. And that's really hard because a lot of the best in class is already happening in romance, family drama. So what can we bring? So that's what kind of led to, choosing outside because that is something new for the market, right? Contributor Academy, replacing Chef Chico, right? So we have to be very thoughtful and intentional about how are we bringing something different so that the creators are also excited and the members also feel like, oh, wow, the smile you had when I said Contributor Academy, like we want more of those. So we will be, doing more. We do have a balanced slate because we have two pillars of Philippines content strategy. One is to bring the familiar, but in a way which has not been seen before. So we may still be doing romance and family drama and all the familiar emotions, but we will kind of give a twist to it, which audiences may not be expecting. And on the other side, we will also be deep diving into some genres which are rarely seen or very far and few, like horror, black comedy, thrillers, so that, we can create a variety of slate. It's not my place to give an advice, but what we have learned at Netflix is authenticity is key. And if you look at all of our titles which are broken out, whether it be Squid Game or Kingdom or Naked Director or Hunger, they have one thing in common, that they were very deeply local stories. So sometimes what happens, I get this question often, and sometimes people want me to give a formula of how to make a global hit. There is nothing called a global hit. When it resonates very deeply in the local market, then there is like an amplified effect because one platform is available in many countries. So what I would say is just trusting the instinct, being proudly Filipino will be the way for it to actually reach massive audiences. Because if you see, there are a lot of shared sentiment. Filipino has a very deep teleserie industry and, people have grown up watching that. You have telenovelas in Latin. So we have cinetrons in Indonesia. And those all have very similar emotional structures and elements. A great Filipino teleserial, if made, authentically local, can still speak to audiences in Latin, right? But we wouldn't want to engineer a teleserie and try to make it, appeal to audiences everywhere. So local authenticity and really being proud of who we are and the story we are telling is going to be the way for us to scale our stories too. So we have actually, I cannot announce, but we do have several projects in all the way from pitch stage to prep, scripts, post-production. So you will see a lot of them coming over the next 3 years. It's variety. So you'll have a mix of series and films and across a variety of genres. It's a very hard question because there is no science to it, right? It's for example, Philippines has a very strong like a genre competency in romance and family drama. So naturally we get hundreds of pictures on that. But we cannot do hundreds. So you have to pick 5 of those. It's hard. But what we really try to look at is what is the clarity of vision of the creator and why do they feel they need to tell this story now? Are they telling this story but they feel, oh, this is another good story in a familiar genre? Or there is a strong conviction in them that, no, I have to tell this story because of these reasons. And based on that, when we try to kind of differentiate and see that, okay, this is different from what we are seeing in this whole genre. So maybe this is a good bet for us to make and try out if audiences will be receptive to something different. The content strategy for us across the world is local for local, right? So when we are designing our slate, thinking of our investments, we are only focused on local audience. Because for us, like the recipe is, if it doesn't work in the local market, it's not a success. So local and then global, right? And again, we have a step for us in Southeast Asia, it's like local, regional, and then global. So when we are making commissioning decisions, it's all based on local content. If we do see traction outside, we try to understand what's resonating, to see that, okay, is this like a one-off genre thing? Like for instance, we brought the zombie showcase this morning. Zombies are very like language agnostic. Zombie fans will watch wherever they are. So naturally, like, Outside and Zayam and Elixir all got, audience interest outside of their home markets. But that doesn't mean we will double down on zombies, right? We have made that. Now we try something else. So what I would really like to see in the future is, I would say, because Philippines is so good at romance, can we make something which even resonates with English-speaking romance stories? That would be my wish for the Philippines. But right now, we are not using any of the, outside Philippines viewership to determine our local strategy, because I think we still need to go deeper in first pleasing Filipino audiences and really earning their trust that we can create new stories and push boundaries. Trust me, like for 3 years, I have been trying to look for that. And it is challenging, right? Because when you try to do something regional, you lose the local authenticity, because then it doesn't connect with one core audience. So it's actually very hard. But if ever a regional collaboration happens, the most likely genres are actually horror and action, because then fans really don't care much about which part of the world it is coming from. They are there for the thrills of it. So yeah, so I'll be excited. If they have a pitch for it, really great. So as a company, we don't rank countries, okay, in terms of that, right? So we focus more on what is the language of the content, and is there like a consistent demand? Like for instance, in APAC, if you see that Korean content, like it's viewed across the region. It also has fans beyond the region, yes, right? But then Korean content also has a very long history of exporting, yes, right? So different content languages are in different stages. Where I would say that Southeast Asia is doing really, really well is that we have been able to kind of showcase a lot of stories. Like I shared earlier this morning, in the past 3-4 years, at least 100 titles have made it to the global top 10. Oh wow! At some point or the other, right? And just this year we have had 40, right? Which was kind of unheard of 5 years back. Yes, right? So you see, again, like we don't compete with like, I want to become better than Korean language or Japanese language or US. No, we compete with ourselves. Like incrementally, every year, are we able to bring better stories which are resonating more with the audiences? And that's the scale of success. We have targets. We don't have targets, but we're going to better. So, we describe ourselves as a sports team. Sports team. If you look at the Netflix culture deck, we are a sports team. So we challenge ourselves to be incrementally better every year. So the challenge to my content teams is also like every year when you are launching your slate, you should feel that I pushed myself one notch higher than the slate last year. So that's the target. So, and I think we are doing great from that perspective, because I do feel like the ambition of our stories and the variety of our stories is expanding. No, I completely agree. Like, audience preferences have also evolved. So it's a great time to be a filmmaker. Again, I would say for people who are just starting out or, in their early stages of their career is not to lose hope, right? It is a long and hard journey to get to the place where Carlo is, or, some of the eminent animators are. But the good thing is a lot of opportunities have now become available. And we do kind of, work with local organizations, local creators to kind of have training programs, script workshops. So it's like keeping an eye out for those. And we try to be like as communicative with the industry so people know when something is happening. And we'll always find, because it's deeply personal for us as well, because we believe that there are eminent creators in each of these markets. But if we have to be in this industry for a long term, the industry also has to grow. right? Like you need to have like a fresh batch of top creators at the end of next 10 years, right? And then, so we cannot grow far with just what we have. So that's why a lot of our effort is also big, like, in upskilling and building the talent, because we just want to make sure that when our ambitions are scaling, the infrastructure is also evolving in order for them to be able to make use of